What's going on, guys? It's Bryson Fitzerickson. I'm back with another video. In today's video, we're talking about the matchup of the century, Ken Carson versus Offset. The streaming numbers are in, the sales numbers are in, and we're going to talk about kind of the new era of hip-hop and what has seemingly taken over in the new generation. So before we get into that, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, any support on the channel. I'd greatly appreciate it. But let's get into this. So, as you know, this past week, Ken Carson and Offset both dropped their albums, A Great Chaos and Set It Off, respectively. And, there was a lot of debate. Who's going to sell more? What's going to happen? And, like I said, the numbers are in. Now, first week sales. We know that Offset actually outsold Ken Carson. Offset sold around 70,000 copies, while Ken Carson sold around 48.5 thousand copies. Now, when you actually look at the streaming numbers here, you could see that Ken Carson actually outstreamed Offset. Great Chaos opens up with just over 60 million first week streams, and Offset's album, Set It Off, just under 50 million. So, Ken Carson outstreamed Offset. Now, Offset did outsell Ken Carson, but looking at that, you can look at their both respective merch stores. You see the Ken Carson store, lots of merch here that is not album bundles, and we do have a few albums at the bottom, CDs and stuff that he did buy. But looking at Offset's store here, there's not as much merchandise, but there's lots of bundles, lots of stuff that was coming out. So it looks like, Offset may have that more dedicated fan base, which is surprising to me. I figured, if anything, Ken Carson would sell more physicals and actual album sales, but Offset seemed to get that. And even looking at the singles that dropped for both these albums, Ken Carson only had I Need You, which came out like months and months and months ago, and Offset had two recent singles, one called Fan and one called Jealousy with Cardi B. And Offset's album has some crazy features. I'm talking Travis Scott, Cardi B was on there a few times, Future was on there, so there were some crazy features on here. And Ken Carson's album only had features from Destroy Lonely and Uzi. Both big names, but they are kind of in that same kind of fan base, if you know what I'm saying. Offset kind of did have branching out features from other big artists that might not have as overlapping fan bases. I think it goes without saying, if Playboi Carti actually cleared his verse on Offset's album, then Offset's album would be in the stratosphere, and we would not even really be having this conversation. But Carti did not clear that feature on the album, probably because Ken was dropping that same week, and in classic Playboi Carti style, we know that he did not feature on A Great Chaos. What does interest me is there's a whole 10 million stream discrepancy between the two albums, despite the fact that the sales looked a lot higher for Offset, which doesn't really make sense in my head. We do know that 1,500 streams does equal a sale, so doing the math there, it's like, okay, Offset must have sold a lot of physicals, a lot of bundles on his website. That's the only way I could see that. And looking back at Offset's first week sales for his previous solo album, he sold around 89,000 albums. So a little bit of a decrease there, but that's kind of to be expected in the streaming age. It seems like every time artists drop, it gets lower and lower and lower, unless your name's Ken Carson, and with his last album, X, he sold between 7 and 13K. And he jumped all the way up to almost 50K this time. Is a huge jump. This is really showing a shift in hip-hop as a whole, and I don't mean to be that guy who's like shitting on the old heads, because Offset is not old head music. He's the Migos. That's a new age rap group. It really is. And, a lot of this stuff was not old head music at all. I'm just saying that the kids are always going to be ahead. Ken Carson has every high schooler in the nation, in the world, jumping up and down for his new album, and it's like, who's really checking out the Offset album? Hip-hop fans are, for sure. Hella people are across the globe, but it's like, when you look at the youth and the kids, they were excited for Ken Carson. That's just the truth. A lot of these kids did not grow up with the Migos, especially now with Takeoff, Rest in Peace. It's just like, that wasn't in their childhood. It was for me. I liked Offset's album. I definitely like Ken Carson's a lot more, and I checked out both the day of, but it's like, there's a shift in hip-hop, and I think anyone can see that, and not just because of the sales of this. It's just going to repeat itself in the future, and, the new wave's always ahead, is what I'm getting at here. But I wanted to get in this video and kind of talk about the first week sales, because it's interesting seeing these guys go head-to-head, and they do have a song together, so it's a little bit interesting that, they are part of that generation and have worked together, but still, they're still competing for that #1 spot, and it seems that Ken Carson got it. If you guys enjoyed watching, make sure you like, subscribe, hit the bell so you don't miss any videos, updates, anything like that. Go in the description, follow my TikTok, my Spotify, my Twitter, my Instagram, get that weekly updated new music Friday place, and join my Discord down there too. And yeah, it's been Bryce. Peace.
Come up with the hot shit, all they do is talk shit. You can never stop it, boy, just stop. High-end drug, call that HD vision. All these other motherfuckers full of indecision. Music flowing through your city like drug money. Made a meal off rap, fuck drug money. And now you hit me like I got you whatever you need. But deep down,